Let's begin by telling you that the Rivers State Police Command has confirmed the explosion at the Secretariat of the Action People's Party APP in Port Harcourt along the GRA axis on Monday morning. According to the command spokesperson, Grace Iringe-Koko, a team of bomb experts has been deployed to the scene to investigate circumstances surrounding the blast. She disclosed this, that the State Police Commissioner and other top officers have inspected the party office to gather first-hand information. Iringe-Koko confirmed the explosion damaged some property. An investigation into the explosion has also been launched. Now, this incident comes amid rumors of political tensions in the state, with the speculation surrounding Governor Siminalayi Fubara's alleged plans to defect to the APP with his loyalists. The Nigeria Labour Congress has tasked President Bola Tinubu's government to stop the blame game, reverse its policies that have caused hardship to Nigerians, and engage in meaningful dialogue with relevant stakeholders. Now, this, among others, were contained in a communique issued at the end of the Emergency National Executive Council meeting of the NLC, which held at the weekend. Similarly, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 poll, Peter Obi, said the just concluded nationwide protests were a call on Nigeria's leaders to reflect deeply on the growing poverty in the country and take steps to address it. Former National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, Salihu Lukman, spoke in the same vein, describing the nationwide protests against hunger and bad governance as sufficient grounds for impeachment of the president and some state governors. The Senate on Sunday tackled former President Olusegun Obasanjo over his comments that lawmakers in both chambers of the National Assembly fix their salaries. In a statement, Senate spokesman Yemi Adaramodu challenged anyone with credible evidence to present contrary facts. Adaramodu said the Red Chamber only receives the salary allocated to it by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission in line with the Constitution. The lawmaker, who represents Ekiti South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly, also emphasized that no senator has received any financial patronage from the presidency. Nigeria's federal government has bid farewell to the outgoing head of service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi-Esan. President Bola Tinubu, during the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, commended Yemi-Esan for the tremendous impact made during her tenure and for far-reaching reforms embarked on with the aim of repositioning the federal civil service. He also swore in the newly appointed head of service of the Federation, Didi Walson-Jack. Amadine Uyi throws more light.
The meeting had in attendance Federal Cabinet ministers. However, before Council commenced its usual deliberations, it was a time to bid farewell to the outgoing head of the Federal Civil Service, Folashade Yemi-Esan.
This meeting of the Federal Executive Council provides an opportunity for us to bid farewell to an astute physician and administrator whose leadership has profoundly shaped our civil service and indeed our nation. Efficiency and effectiveness in the public service and her visionary leadership has led to the implementation of numerous reforms aimed at enhancing the capacity and performance of our public service.
As she stepped down, we express our deep gratitude for her unwavering commitment and the significant impact she has made in our country.
President Bola Tinubu commended her for her dexterity and for far-reaching reforms embarked on to reposition the service.
She served our nation exceptionally well with distinction, guiding the civil service through significant transformation and reform. Our dedication to enhancing efficiency, transparency, and professionalism has set a high standard for public administration in this country.
It was also an opportunity to swear in her replacement, Didier Walsin-Jack. With a new head for the Federal Civil Service, there will be much expectations to complete reforms, initiated and sustain the tempo of change. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has resumed office and directed his staff to follow suit. He issued a stern warning to banks, cautioning against conducting any transactions with the office of the Deputy Governor without his consent, labeling such actions as illegal. In a video broadcast, Shaibu further mandated any staff members who have not yet resumed work since his reinstatement must do so immediately or face consequences.
I am issuing a clear directive to all staff within the Deputy Governor's office whom have not yet returned to work to resume forthwith. Failure to comply will result in appropriate sanctions. In line with the judgment, the office of the Deputy Governor was never vacant. In this regard, all transactions that will have been done in my absence remain illegal, null and void, and of no effect whatsoever.
And now to security matters. The Niger State in Nigeria's north central has become a home of competing factions of insurgents. And data from SBM intelligence revealed that 275 residents of Niger State were killed in 24 incidents in the second quarter of this year. Several times, the Bola Tinubu-led government has vowed to deal with the rising security challenges in the country and protect the lives and property of the people. The state of insecurity, however, appears to be worsening with each of the 6 geopolitical zones dealing with multiple safety and security challenges. In the last 12 years, Nigeria has been battling many security challenges, from Boko Haram and ISWAP insurgent groups and banditry to kidnappings. In recent times, the north central region, particularly Niger State, has been severely hit by bandits. In the past 7 years, the state has been reported to be under the siege of bandits, and in this period, 18 out of the 25 local government areas in the state have been attacked by these bandits. Borno State marked a hopeful new chapter with a historic football match between Gwange Valencia and Aminu Babes at Ramat Square in Maiduguri. Now the Peace Cup football competition, attended by the Shaibu of Borno and other key personalities, was a celebration of the region's return to peace and stability. News Central's Umaru Kirawa fills us in.
A heave of relief to most residents of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, after experiencing the years of insurgency.
If you go to Subdubra, if you go to Mamri, if you go to Ngala, if you go to other parts in Maiduguri and environs, people go about their normal businesses. This is a sign, an indication that Borno is bouncing back to its lost glory. And this is something to celebrate. This is something to give Almighty Allah all glory and adoration.
The return of socio-economic activities is changing the narratives of the retrogressive years of attack. The Shaibu of Borno, alongside other personalities of the Kanim Borno Empire, are here to ginger the morale of the youths.
From all indication, with this kind of sporting activities, the issue of youth restiveness will be reduced to the barest minimum.
We are just picking up from the crisis of Boko Haram in the state. So we want our youth to be engaged always in sporting activities and other activities.
So this is my first time since he's traveling as a royal eminence of Borno State to attend in a match like this. So I can call them they are the most luckiest among their caliber or among their peers.
As the saying goes, there is a British leader who once said, I will engage the youth, even if destroying the famous London Bridge and rebuilding it back again, just for the purpose of reviving back our lost glory. Borno has come back to peace again once again.
You see the youth they are trying in Borno State, they are obeying the rules and regulations of their fathers. They are obeying the rules and regulations of their leaders.
The Peace Cup tournament has not only garnered the support of the local authorities, but has also attracted the attention of the broader community.
Football is the only thing now in Nigeria that unites people. You know, you see Christian, Muslim, Yoruba, Hausa unite. Even in our team, we have Christian, we have Muslims.
The competition is very entertaining, and the way youths have conducted themselves, it is very interesting.
In football, we speak the same language. In football, there is no religion, no tribe, nothing. All what we know is the round ladder. And football actually engages youth in peace building, unity, and then to say even it serves as a means of creation of job.
Ban ci ba ma abun farin ciki ne saboda ya cika min na musu alfahari tun daga fes wasa na ce sai na hada su da Shehun Borno to kuma alhamdulillah na ga nasara.
The Shehu of Borno had this to say.
Ala Borno sama barazu ala governor dia barazu president dia vice president jaman de sama ala saya barazu ala tada dia fero dia lur Borno sama so ala saya barazu ala fitna lur den absolute Nigeria sama abs zoro asungana ala bali minne kafwa klefasle na ala kaunde sa alhamdulillah.
The enthusiasm and joy on the faces of the youth during these matches are truly inspiring.
The football match is not only a display of talent, but also a symbol of peace and resilience in a region that has faced many challenges in recent years. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
In the light of the ongoing economic crisis in Nigeria, there are growing calls for the repeal of the immunity clause found in Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution. Now, this clause currently provides immunity for state governors and their deputies from prosecution, which critics argue fosters lack of accountability and corruption in governance. Lekon Onobanjo brings us details.
Section 308 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution provides immunity from prosecution for president, vice president, governor, and deputy governor during the time in office. Specifically, it states, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this constitution, no civil or criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against a person to whom this section applies during this period of office. This immunity clause has been a subject of debate.
If you look at the international criminal, for instance, the concept of immunity doesn't exist in that jurisdiction. Because if you commit any crime under Article 5 of the Rome Statute, that is war crime, genocide, crime against humanity, all of that, you can't be availed immunity. If we look at the Nigerian case, there is the contradiction. When a president or vice president, a governor or deputy governor comes into office, they have to swear to uphold the Constitution. Now, having sworn to uphold the Constitution, if they violate that same Constitution by committing crimes, why should the Constitution grant them immunity?
Against what many Nigerians felt would have been a milestone in the anti-graft crusade, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, in a report dated May 5, 2024, denied releasing a list of 58 former governors said to be under investigation for allegedly misappropriating 2.187 trillion naira over 25 years. It, however, confirmed ongoing investigations of some former governors. How soon, if at all, will justice run its course?
It is a question around a fair justice system. It's a question around discriminatory law enforcement. We are younger people for stealing Yahoo people, and whether you can see EFCC going after Yahoo. Well, how many times have EFCC commented this issue around Malta and the petroleum blending of fuel in Malta?
In African states where there is a sit-tight syndrome, where you can have presidents who are there for many years, if a crime happens and they continue to pile up the crimes, even the witnesses may die before the time for the prosecution, or there will be so much that has overwhelmed the state such that the idea around prosecuting a certain crime will be discarded because of the many issues that need to be dealt with.
How can the rule of law be observed with the immunity clause in place?
Immunity does not protect against investigation. Immunity only protects against prosecution. So nothing stops the police, the EFCC, or any other law enforcement agency from prosecuting, from investigating criminal actions, even if they are covered by immunity. They are only a state that has been captured, a state that is at the heart criminal and corrupt state. So instead of them to prosecute fairly, they prosecute based on discretion.
The issue of accountability is important for any relations, particularly governance, for it to go well. Because once powers cannot be interrogated, then it will be power on rampage. Then people will do whatever they want to do because they know that accountability will not catch up with them. The governors, the deputy governors, the president, the vice president should be at the forefront of protecting the laws, should even be the ones championing themselves and saying, look, we want to be accountable.
As the nation grapples with economic challenges, critics assert that removing this protection would help restore accountability and promote good governance. From Lagos for News Central, Lekon Onobanjo.
Nigeria's federal government has come down hard on underperforming contractors handling major highways across the country. Minister of Works, Nyesom Wike, after an extensive meeting with some of the contractors in Abuja, announced the termination of the contract of award for the Section 1 of the Kano-Maiduguri Expressway. He says that the contractor has been unable to meet up with expectations of the contract since the award in the last 17 years, thus the need to revoke the contracts.
The ministry has, decided to terminate Section 1 of Kano-Maiduguri, job being handled over by Dantata and so. This project was awarded since 2007 and they have been on that section. So the job is terminated today due to a friction of time. The time that they're supposed to have completed job is over and over and over. So the job will now be turned to BPP for selective tendering. We have some money in the amended 2024 budget. So I want to apologize to the people within this corridor that within the next few weeks we would have gone through the procurement process and then re-award it. And Mr. President has budgeted some money in the amended 2024 budget to take care of this.
And now to the International Youth Day. The day is celebrated annually on August 12th, was established by the United Nations to draw attention to issues young people face, as well as celebrate their potential in today's global society. This year's theme is From Clicks to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development, which acknowledges and celebrates the power of young people and their contribution to digital innovation. The theme highlights the key connection between technology and improving the progress of Sustainable Development Goals, emphasizing the crucial contribution of young people in this transformative process. Earlier, UNICEF Deputy Country Representative Dr. Ronak Khan joined us on the news.
Technology would allow them to also acquire the 21st century skills. As you may know that in the World Economic Forum, there are few 21st century skills that have been identified for young people. And digital skill is one of them, in addition to problem solving, in addition to critical thinking, so on and so forth. So as I was saying, that the digital technology will allow them not only acquire skills, but also it will allow them to raise awareness about it. They can hold the political leaders also accountable to their digital power. But in order for them to do that, they also need a lot of support, both from the government side as well as the communities around.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has lauded Nigeria's youth, praising their creative zeal and ability to drive digital adoption, trends, innovation, both within the country and beyond, as the world marks International Youth Day. International Youth Day, celebrated annually on August 12th, has chosen the 2024 theme, From Clicks to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development. President Tinubu emphasized that within the nation's youth lies an extraordinary spirit and the potential to digitally transform Nigeria, leading it to prosperity and global recognition. The president acknowledged the significant strides made by young Nigerians in various fields, particularly in developing billion-dollar technologies and innovations that contribute to a more prosperous and advanced world. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has emphasized the need for every Nigerian child to have a legal identity, which can be possible through e-birth registration. In collaboration with the National Population Commission, the global agency highlighted that the transition from an analog to digital birth registration system will help government at all levels have sufficient data to make plans for children in the country. Youth Central's Ayo Olubusi has details.
Birth registration is a fundamental right for every child. Without that, a child is invincible. Hence, the birth of the SDG 16.9, which aims to provide legal identity for all by 2030. In this vein, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, in collaboration with the National Population Commission, is urging Nigerians to adopt the digital birth registration process in giving identities to their children.
A registered child has acknowledged rights to protection, but also to healthcare, education, and other critical services. It is very important. Without child registration, those children remain invisible to our governments. It also presents a huge opportunity to create a very robust and reliable civil registration system that not only records birth, but also generates vital statistics that are, as you know, necessary for effective planning and implementation of policies, but also for budgeting.
Beyond birth registration, the digital system will help to link individuals' data with the national identification number and other common records.
This is why we are particularly also more interested in working with the health sector. You know, primary health care centers, hospitals, for example. Once we know that once we have, an understanding with all of this, and then they have these centers where they can issue birth certificate, where they can register children. The moment children are taken there and they are registered and they get a certificate, they are not only getting just the birth certificate, they also get the NIN number, and then the other opportunity for health is that those children that are brought there can also receive immunization.
Peradventure, maybe water got into this office or fire, we may not be able to retrieve all the information in our ledger or our registration forms. That one is gone, and it becomes a problem in case of verification. But when it is e-captured, you understand, you can easily retrieve all these things. Touting is a menace in Lagos State, where we have people that impersonate and issue fake birth certificate to people. And that is one of the advantages of e-registration.
If adopted by all and sundry, e-birth registration will be a reliable data bank system for an effective planning and policy implementation for all children in Nigeria. From Lagos, Nigeria, Ayo Olubusi reporting for News Central.
And now let's go over to the United Nations for a briefing. Before we patch live, let's take this news first. The Lagos State government on Sunday emphasized the importance of good sanitation practices among all residents to ensure a clean, flood-free, safe and sustainable environment across the state. Now, the emphasis was made by the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, during the weekly community-based environmental sanitation advocacy campaign held at Omobokun Street, Iyanoworo, Bariga local council development areas. Youth Central's Bettina Unwili tells us more.
Over the last couple of weeks, the Lagos State government has continued to reiterate its commitment to take the sanitation advocacy campaign for residents around the state until residents imbibe the culture of good environmental sanitation and hygienic practices.
You see, very early in the morning, some people will be going to work and they bring their baggage of dirt. Instead of trashing it in their dustbin, paying for lawma, service charge, they wouldn't. They would drop it by the side of the road. It's terrible. So government is doing so much, but our people are not complying at all. They are not helping themselves.
If everywhere is clean, there won't be disease. If everywhere is very clean, there won't be disease. So the sanitation should come back.
That Saturday would be better if they start, because I believe Saturday is when everybody actually have time. Most people don't work on Saturday, so it's a good time for everybody to just put hands together and then make it work.
According to the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokumbo Wahab, the weekly community-based environmental sanitation advocacy campaign has been introduced to promote good sanitation practices amongst residents before the formal commencement of the monthly sanitation exercise. The Commissioner implored residents to support government efforts through regular cleaning of the drainages in front of their houses and desist from the unwholesome act of illegal waste disposal, saying it is expedient for everyone to take ownership of all infrastructure provided by the government. Residents of Lagos State are advised to embrace good environmental habits, as this would reduce the burden on the health sector as well as ensure positive effects on the infrastructure provided by the government. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, more than 1 million people displaced by the brutal Tigray conflict remain in limbo, even though the guns fell silent almost 2 years ago, many in makeshift camps. Despite a peace accord signed to end the deadly conflict that claimed more than 600,000 lives, continuing insecurity has stopped those who fled their homes from returning. According to humanitarian workers, aid organizations have scaled back their operations and essential aid is harder to come by.
خمايز بسلاون بزحات اللعة بيني خمسون أنا خمايز كتجي ورا قريت لابلناتي سقول اللون بزحات قول اللون يا عين سلام الدفن بقى ولا اللوني بتأميات بوري عاوزي أتجري فيه لا بخدم ما مارس يبلي ما
جهازي تكم تنس موت ما متبكن يلا متبكن نقريل أموت أفني على زيابير من لمنا ولا زيابير ودك عشان بيوصلون
በስምምነቱ መሰረት ወደ ሰላም ተመልሰዋል ስለተባለ ወደ ቦታቸው ተመለሳላችሁ ስለተባለ ወይም ያኛው በስምምነቱ መሰረት ህዝቡ አልተመለሰ ወይም ደግሞ እነዚህ ድጋፍ የሚያደርጉት የነበሩ የኤንጂኦ እዚህ የሚቆይበት እድል አልተሰጣቸውም። አጠቃላይ ህዝቡ ምንድነው ያለ ማለት ነው ዝም ብሎ በመሃል ላይ
Turkey has submitted a formal bid to join South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, a move that adds to the international pressure on the Israeli government to end its war in Gaza. Turkey's ambassador to the Netherlands, accompanied by a group of Turkish legislators, submitted a declaration of intervention to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. South Africa filed its case with the International Court of Justice late last year, alleging that Israel was breaching the Genocide Convention and its military assault against the Hamas terror group in Gaza. Israel has rejected the accusations of genocide as baseless and says South Africa is supporting Hamas terror group, which rules Gaza and seeks to eliminate the Jewish state. And to unpack this, I'm joined by Professor of African Politics and International Relations, Department of Political Sciences, University of Pretoria, and that's Christopher ECK. Good evening, glad to have you join me.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, the pleasure is all mine. Let me kick off by asking how you would, what's your assessment of relationships before now between Turkey and Israel prior to the developments, happening?
Well, the relationship has been, before now, has been kind of very friendly. As one of the first Muslim majority countries to recognize Israel as a state in 1949, both countries, that's Turkey now and Israel, actually enjoyed, decades of, very good diplomatic relations. And the relationship actually experienced a growth during the 90s, including a large increase in Israeli tourism to Turkey, various free trade agreements, high-level visits, and sometimes military, cooperation and exchanges between them. However, during this period, Turkey also established formal ties with the Palestinian Liberation Organization in the 70s and was among the first countries to actually recognize the state of Palestine while it was in exile in 1998. So what is clear is that Turkey has backed the Palestinian Authority after it was established as part of the Oslo peace process in the 90s. Now, all of these actions indicates, Turkey's strong support for a two-state solution to the crisis, which seemingly guided its foreign policy towards Israel and, of course, in the broader Middle East. One could say that things started turning in 2006 when President Erdogan formalized relations with Hamas by, inviting the Hamas then leader Khalid Mashal to Ankara for a state visit. Since then, the relationship has worsened, getting to a head in 2010 when a flotilla of privately owned ships sailed from Turkey with the aim of ending Israel's blockade against Hamas-controlled Gaza. Now, in 2010, Israel responded, harshly, leading to a loss of Turkish lives on the ship. And then, the two countries severed, diplomatic relations then. And these were only restored in 2022 after, 12 years of, consistent and persistent U.S. mediation. But
just to chip in there,
we seem to be heading towards something like that now.
Just to chip in there, looking at all you have cited, I'm wondering, what potential fallout could occur for Israel if this case continues to gain traction internationally?
Well, it will further erode Israel's soft power appeal, and the international goodwill it has enjoyed for years, which was based on, international support for the Holocaust, apart from what Israel has come to represent for the United States and its Western allies, of course. In addition to joining the ICJ case, Turkey will likely force use its position in NATO to force a full moratorium on NATO cooperation with Israel, and that's not very good for it.
Now, let's look at reactions from other countries so far, especially within the region and also among major global powers. What's your assessment of it?
Well, several European countries have joined in the case and expressed support for the South African case. The biggest one in the European Union would be, and also a NATO member would be Belgium. We joined the case in March of this year. You also have countries like Ireland that have officially recognized Palestine as a state and a member of the United Nations. Within the Gulf, within the region itself, you see Gulf state countries have also been emboldened by these actions to express support for the Palestinian cause, which many of them were shy to do, especially after the deal that Trump put through that normalized relations between many of them and Israel.
All right, thank you so much for your submission on the news. Professor of African Politics and International Relations, University of Pretoria, Christopher ECK. Many thanks indeed, Professor. Prof.
Thank you for having me.
The swearing-in of President Paul Kagame after his election victory means Rwandan leader will now be running a fourth term. Though Kagame is also praised for Rwanda's economic growth over the past 3 decades, critics question his authoritarian leadership and believe he has stayed too long in power. In this next report, News Central's Bernard Akede looks at the trend of African leaders staying long in power.
If landslide victory was a person, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame would be it. Kagame won 99% of the votes in Rwanda's last presidential election, according to the provisional results, while his 2 opponents collectively received less than 1% of votes. In 2015, Rwandans voted to remove the 2-term presidential limit, potentially allowing Kagame to remain in power until 2034, and his recent election victory and now swearing in has got critics asking how long is too long for a president to remain in office.
In this century, it is not really nice for leaders to consistently and persistently remain in power, and so I hope that Paul Kagame will not go the same way like other countries, in Africa, where the leaders have been there for more than 35 years, for more than some up to 40 years.
Some of the longest-serving African leaders include Theodore Obiang, who has ruled for 45 years, Paul Biya, 42 years, Yoweri Museveni, 38 years, amongst others. Though Kagame may not be as old as some of the longest-serving presidents in Africa, some still believe he has been ruling for a long time and as such should step aside, while others believe it's okay to stay even longer since the country's economy is doing well under him.
It means stability for the country. And it also means that Rwandans value the current trajectory, that they want to preserve the gains they have made, and that they trust the government to continue on this path of transformation with renewed vigor.
The challenge of sit-tight presidency or permanent presidency, in Africa has not been a very good story for we Africans. And so I don't think I would prefer a president who will stay for too long, like the countries you have mentioned. I think it is better to leave when the ovation is still loudest.
The argument further continues that if there are age limits for the likes of judges, professors and soldiers, etc., shouldn't there be age limits for presidents as well?
If you feel, in terms of your biological makeup, in terms of your psychology and everything, you're okay. Then what's wrong with that? These are things we should be looking at. But the thing is that if you look at a president or someone who is contested and you find out that psychologically the person is not fit, biologically the person is not fit, then I think that is the only time that the discrimination should start from the party.
The conversation of age limit for presidents goes beyond the shores of Africa. 82-year-old Joe Biden, who recently pulled out of America's presidential race, and 78-year-old Donald Trump are the 2 oldest candidates the nation has seen, and some say this is a cause for concern. Maybe someday there could be a globally accepted age limit for presidents, or maybe not. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
An 11-year-old girl and a woman were hospitalized on Monday after being stabbed in central London's Leicester Square. A man has been arrested and remains in custody, according to police statements, which also notes that authorities are awaiting an update on the victim's condition. Police have not released further detail about the suspect, but a security guard who witnessed the incident recounted how he disarmed the attacker.
Yeah, I heard a scream, and the moment I saw it, there was one person, roughly around maybe like mid-30s or early 30s, and he was like stabbing a kid. So I saw that he was stabbing a kid. I jumped on him, hold the hand in which he wasn't having a knife, and I just put him down on the floor and just hold him and kick the knife away from him. And then a couple of more people joined as well, and we just hold him until the police came. It took like maybe 3 to 4 minutes, police arrived, and then they just took him into the custody. And the child, just like all my colleagues, they gave him first aid, and in the minute police came as well, and they just gave it.
And sports, Dricus du Plessis will defend his middleweight title against Israel Adesanya in a high-stakes clash at UFC 305 on 18th August 2024. The event, held at the Iraq Arena in Perth, Australia, will feature du Plessis, who became the first South African UFC champion with a split decision win over Sean Strickland in January 2024. Adesanya, a former two-time middleweight champion, lost the title to Strickland last September, but remains one of the division's all-time greats. Du Plessis sees this fight as his opportunity to solidify his place among the best by defeating Adesanya, often regarded as the benchmark in the middleweight division. Team GB diver Tom Daley has announced his retirement on Monday after the conclusion of the Paris Olympics, saying it is the right time to step away from the sport. Daley announced his decision, saying he knew he was going to retire from diving before taking part in the men's 10-meter synchronized platform with partner Noah Williams. Daley, who is 30, won 5 medals in 5 Olympic Games appearances, the highlights being the gold he won in Tokyo in 2021 and culminating in a silver in the men's 10-meter synchronized diving in Paris. And that's all on the news. But let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Organized labor has urged President Tinubu to end the blame game and fix the economy by reversing bad policies. Over 1 million people have been displaced by unrest in Tigray, remain in limbo. We also told you that Turkey has submitted bids to join South Africa's genocide suit against Israel over the war in Gaza. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba. It's bye for now.